All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers here, folks. They just drafted Will Howard late in the draft. Phenomenal value move. So I had to hop on the microphone and talk about this team's draft because, Derek Harmon in the first round, the dude's a stud. For example, he led the FBS with 34 quarterback pressures when lined up as a defensive tackle. The dude is going to be an absolute stud. I loved the Caleb Johnson move. I really, really loved the Jack Sawyer move. And I know this Steelers team is kind of haunted by this quarterback ghost. There's not been a level of consistency at that position since, Ben Roethlisberger's final seasons. Aaron Rodgers, Will Howard, Mason Rudolph, we'll talk about it as the video progresses. But I'm telling you, man, we're talking about the draft in this video, so I don't really even want to talk about Aaron Rodgers. But if the Steelers do ultimately end up signing him, this team is genuinely different than the Steelers squads we've seen in the past couple of years. So let's kick it off with Derek Harmon, because like I said, that stat's genuinely crazy. Leading the FBS with quarterback pressures as a defensive tackle. He was second with a 10.7% pressure rate, and he's just going to be a key piece helping that rush defense. And, honestly, the Steelers defense, you have this thing where it's like, how do good teams stay good? And so I like even Jack Sawyer as an example, or you could use Derek Harmon as an example, because you look at the Steelers defensive line and it's like, all right, first round pick, did I really need another defensive lineman? Did I really need another edge guy, a defensive tackle, and Derek Harmon? Maybe not, because you got guys like TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, Keanu Benton, Peyton Wilson, Alex Highsmith. Now you got Jack Sawyer, you got Nick Herbig back there. Like, it's a loaded defensive line, but that's how good teams stay good. And his pass rush abilities for being a defensive tackle make him a 3-down player. And the guy's got such a cool story. And obviously, the draft story of his mom passing away, it really is insane. And it makes you realize, how crazy sports are and how it's more than just a game fully. And, everything about this guy just screams bright future, like truly. And he's very good at the intangibles. I know we only really say that word around draft time, but he's got the quickness, he's got the strength, he can do everything. He's got long arms. He consistently gets his hands inside the frame of pass blockers. He uses a bunch of different mixes in his pass rushes. He's got strong upper body power. He's got lateral ability. You name it, he's got it. That's why he's a first round pick. And like I said, I know it's a weird pick in the sense of, I think a lot of people, myself included, were kind of thinking of Shedeur Sanders to Pittsburgh in the first round. Didn't end up happening, but I'm telling you, man, Derek Harmon is a beast. And whenever he gets his opportunity, it'll, in his rookie season, even he's going to pan out, is basically what I'm trying to say here. And we'll get to the quarterback once we talk about Will Howard. And then we have Caleb Johnson. My favorite stat about Caleb, and obviously we know Najee Harris is now with the Los Angeles Chargers. Jalen Warren is also in the last year of his contract. So we knew this running back room was going to get upgraded at some point in the draft. My favorite stat is that Caleb Johnson didn't record a single fumble in 2024. And that personally reminds me of Najee Harris. He only had 3 in his tenure at the University of Iowa. He fumbled twice in 2023 and then 1 time in 2022, but he only lost 1 of those. And that was as a freshman against the Ohio State University. So he finished his collegiate career with 29 straight games, 475 total touches without a lost fumble. So you're replacing him with Najee Harris, who had just 5 fumbles in 4 seasons. Yeah, good replacement for Najee Harris there. He's also powerful. He had a career best 1,537 rushing yards and 21 touchdowns in 2024. And he's also good in just the zone running scheme. All right. The numbers at the combine maybe aren't too crazy. I don't know if you're kind of casual in a sense like myself. I don't put too much merit on combine, right? I mean, even Tom Brady comes to mind. Obviously, that's like a huge, crazy, the best football player of all time outlier, but I don't give too much stock into combine stats. He sometimes drops footballs as a pass catcher. That's the narrative that's floating around the spaces right now. But the good news is he still can catch footballs, and Jalen Warren is also phenomenal in that. And he's sturdy, solid as a blocking running back. All right, Jack Sawyer. this was one of those moves where they didn't really need Jack Sawyer, but he was available where he was available, and you have to take Jack Sawyer. We all remember him, one of the biggest moments in college football last season, 83-yard fumble return for a touchdown to solidify the win against the University of Texas to get into the national championship, where unfortunately they took down my Notre Dame Fighting Irish. But he's got very active hands. I see him getting memed on Twitter right now for having small legs. Once again, I don't really care about that kind of stuff. He explodes off the snap. It's all on the film. I mean, it's just all on the film. He's got crazy effort, a crazy work ethic, and he's good at stopping the run, good at tracking down the quarterback. So I think Jack Sawyer kind of reminds me of Peyton Wilson from last year, where it's like, I mean, like, technically you don't really need a Jack Sawyer. Technically you didn't really need Peyton Wilson compared to other positional groups. But like you saw with Peyton last season, this is a good draft pick. And then we get to Yahya Black. Really interesting because he's also very good in rush defense. And it's, interesting because there's already a nose tackle on the roster in Keanu Benton. So Pittsburgh probably views this guy as an extremely versatile player. He can push the pocket. He can read the quarterback. He can get his hands up. Like I said, he's phenomenal at stopping the run. He's got very great arm length. So you're going to like that pick later on in the draft. And then I had to save enough time for Will Howard because I love Will Howard. And I don't know how he was available in the 6th round, or I don't know how he got drafted all the way into the 6th round. It's interesting. So by the way, real quick, the Steelers, I think the 7th round of the NFL draft is going on right now. So this video will not include the 7th round draft picks, but Will Howard led Kansas State to a Big 12 title in 2022. That's a big deal. So then he transfers to the Ohio State University and wins a national championship with them last season. He set a record with 13 consecutive completions in that game. Also threw for 231 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. So in a big-time game, being a big-time player, he makes big-time plays. He's got a great arm. He also has great legs. He was also used in designated quarterback runs in college, but that ability to move with your feet, that ability to make big-time plays in big-time games is definitely what intrigued the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I'll end on this note because I haven't made a Steelers video in way too long because you don't have a quarterback. And every time I go online, it's like, oh, well, Aaron Rodgers says this. Aaron Rodgers says this. Pittsburgh says this. They say that. So we waited until the draft. The way I see it is Aaron Rodgers will sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I don't know what you've heard from the league. I'm a Green Bay Packers fan, and he technically kind of left us on a weird, bad note, salty note. I love Aaron Rodgers, and I know the Jets. You guys know the Jets. They're a mess. All right, they're a mess. The Steelers are not a mess. Their quarterback has been a mess. If Aaron Rodgers comes in and mentors Will Howard for one season, the Pittsburgh Steelers will be competitive this next year and then competitive for many years to come. DK Metcalf, George Pickens. That's all you really got to say. Folks, that's it for me. Hit that like button, hit that sub button. Give me your draft grade for the Pittsburgh Steelers down below. Give me the player you're most excited about, and we will see you in a few days. Peace.